Welcome to another episode of the Apex Perspective podcast. Today, I get the absolute pleasure to sit down with Varun Patel, who is currently the founder of Spokes Digital Incorporated. Now, can we start with your background, Varun, and more about how you began your career, and of course, how you became an entrepreneur subsequently?
Yeah, thank you, Warren, for inviting me in this podcast, and we are very excited to be part of it. As a person, I have always been fascinated by one question: how do companies build scalable businesses, and how can they become unicorns, right? So, this curiosity helped me to push into the intersection of technology, data, and business strategy. And I started my career in IBM after my graduation and when I started there, I was part of the IBM Watson group, and then I was into consulting. So I started on technology part where I was learning more of innovations that IBM was doing, and then I was led into the part where I was consulting the clients like utility clients, and then the a lot of retail clients and a lot of CPG clients and the financial clients, where my role was basically to design a business strategy and help them to create an IT plan that how can they scale their business using the IT systems that IBM was building. And that gave me a foundation where I was able to see that how big businesses think, how IBM can think, how they design processes, how can they basically help their clients to grow their businesses, right? And I have a very strong business and technical background because I am a BTech from HBTU Kanpur, and I did my MBA in international business from the Symbiosis Pune, right? So what I did was basically kind of a, I would say, internship in business when I was working with the IBM, right? But
Yeah.
entrepreneurship was always a bigger calling for me, and so I thought that rather than doing this from the sides, why shouldn't I start my own venture? And when I was looking into businesses, then I saw that digital transformation was the major area that was helping companies to grow, and that was a differentiator from one brand to another to become a $1 billion company, right? So that led
Right.
to ROW, that was written on web, and eventually to Spokes Digital in 2017, because I feel that it helped me to find our deepest purpose. Because if I look at myself, I am a builder in that, right? So, and I want to build something that is unconventional, and that led us to explore the industry in 2017. That was the cannabis industry that was very unconventional, and
Right.
businesses struggling to do the digital transformations. So that led me to think more about how can we help those businesses who are digitally challenged, who cannot marketing strategy. So it was 2017, but if you look at the, I will say, digital marketing plan, it was like 2005 for them because they were not allowed, they were not open to advertise on Google, Meta, or other platforms. So we had to innovate, think out of the box, that how can we be creative about it and help those businesses to grow. And there was something that maybe led us to start Spokes Digital in the US.
Excellent. So just to
Yeah.
start off, I understand that you wanted to go towards an unconventional industry. It appears like the cannabis industry did not have any specific approach to digital transformation. Did you early on identify there was a gap in that specific regard when it comes to the cannabis industry? And is that why you want to target the cannabis industry?
So if you look at the cannabis industry, it is led by majorly few players. First is like the retailers, and then there are brands, and then there are wholesalers or delivery companies. So if you look at the retailers basically focus more on the retail side of it, and they have very
Right.
modern infrastructure and all that. And a customer can walk into the store, they can buy whatever they're looking for, and there's a person who's helping them. This is called as the bud tender, right? And if you look at the digital presence of that, it's so confusing. So if a customer walks uh, on the store, it's a different experience. But if someone goes to the website, there are 400 products, there are like 35 brands, and there are 45 categories, and there are so many percentages, THCs, percent of terpenes, and tables. It's so confusing that a customer cannot even understand that what he should buy from there, right? So, uh, as a company, our challenge was that first of all, how to make uh, these brands appear digitally. That is like through Google Ads, Meta Ads, and that's how, and how to create the playbooks around those. and how to create a strategy that can target those specific users. Because when you look
Mm-hmm.
at, for example, Google, right, when you search for dispensary near me, it's a different purchase intent than somebody who is searching for example, maybe maybe cream for pain. It's a different kind of customer,
Right.
different intent, right? So we have to see that how can we segregate that intent, and then probably cater that intent with the right messaging, and then
Right.
maybe take users to the right page on the website, its landing page, and then maybe help them to make a purchase. So
Mm-hmm.
creating those kind of funnels and maybe helping those customers to align with the strategy of
Mm-hmm.
the company and messaging. So that was very, very, I think, exciting for us. And we had to be very innovative in maybe saying with those words, because some of the words are allowed, some of the words are not allowed. So you need to be very
Mm-hmm.
creative on placing the messaging in that way. So that was something I
Excellent.
think, yeah, helped us to.
Excellent. And it's very likely people were not approaching that back in 2017 when it comes to the cannabis industry. But what's very important to ask about this, the digital transformation aspect, is only about 33%, if that, I think that statistic is right. I think only about 33% of digital transformations are successful. So why do you think that is? And how do you make one successful?
Yeah. So if you look at, so as I said that when you look at the purchase intent, right? So the intent is basically driven by somebody searching for a particular keyword. So when
Hmm.
you look at that possibly, then your advertisement, your keywords, your landing
Hmm.
pages, your website, maybe your chatbot flows, right? Everything should speak the same kind of intent. And when you talk about maybe remarketing, for example, you should also talk about same kind of messaging in that way. So there are five stages of IDA, right? Where you have attention, interest, desire, and action. So how
Hmm.
to get the attention of the user through those kind of be I will say top level event, top level kind of campaigns, and then how can we get the interest and
Hmm.
the desire to buy, and maybe then action in terms of conversions. So
Hmm.
ultimately, I think digital transformation was difficult because there was no playbook around this industry. So
Yeah.
there's no playbook for Google, there's no playbook for Meta, there's no playbook for any kind of I would say platform for this industry. So we had to innovate on each and every channel. That okay, what should we do around, for example, Meta? How to get audiences? How to maybe reach out to those audiences to maybe make a purchase for the that brand in that way. So I
Hmm.
think everything that we saw that was very challenging, but we had to work for years to create that kind of a structure. Now I think
Hmm.
is and if you look at our clients, for example, MedMen was the first client. It was the first company in US that was highly funded, and they had hundreds of stores and all that. But if you look at their stores, they had multiple stores with a good kind of infrastructure, but digitally they were challenged. So our job was to get together a plan that can help them to synergize all those kind of messages across the locations and all that, right? And with the help of AI, I think it's now becoming very, I will say, easy for us to do that.
Excellent. So what there
Yeah.
was, from what I was understanding, is back in 2017, there was no real approach to digital marketing that was actually proper for the cannabis industry. You identified that, you understand there's a formula behind getting the attention of the customer or your possible customer, getting them
Right.
interested, and then to be able to take action. That's kind of what the approach was. Now we have changed because there's some changes coming because of AI, as you did mention. So how does the use of AI, or how does AI change the potential process when it comes to digital marketing, when it comes to cannabis?
Yeah. So if you look at a cannabis website, and I think the traditional companies used to market it like a leaky bucket, right? You
Mhm.
spend millions of dollars driving traffic to the website, but actually this is not marketing. This kind of mode of traffic control, and I think that was the conventional approach that was being followed by the other agencies. When we came into picture, I think our approach was that how can we make it more targeted, like for example, uh, how to be data driven, right? And more data driven, being more data driven helps us to target them effectively. For example, if someone is a first time customer, he's looking for information to help him to make a purchase. If someone is a medical customer, he's looking for more trust. If someone is a repeat purchaser, he's looking for maybe more, maybe service in that, right? If someone is a tourist, is looking for immediate information in that way. Someone is a deal maker, so he is looking for a deal in that way. So I think there is a separate audience, right, that is there, and you cannot sell same kind of product to everybody. For example, there are flowers, there are waves, there are gummies, there are topical solutions, there are tinctures. So there's so much of information. So I think you cannot do that without AI. AI is helping us to solve that problem, right? AI
Mhm.
is not just about writing captions or maybe creating a beautiful image. It's more like how can you maybe converge the intent, the experience, the inventory, and the revenue, and we can do that, right? AI is helping us in three ways basically. If you look at
Mhm.
the service industry, number one
Mhm.
is like AI is helping in getting more conversions rather than
Okay.
traffic. So if you look at older ways of doing marketing, companies were sending, for example, 10,000 users to the website. That is not marketing, that is traffic control, right?
Mhm.
We need to think about who is the user and who wants to purchase what in that way. And that is something that we have to do. So AI is helping us to make more conversions, for example. So now we have developed one solution called as AI bartender. So that AI
Mhm.
bartender is Ask Buddy, and Ask Buddy sits on the website, and it asks customers few questions, and based on with those questions, such as it asks, okay, what do you want to buy? How do you want to feel today? Maybe you're happy, and then you say that my budget is $50, and I want something that is low in potency or high in potency, and then it
Mm.
recommends to you, right? So and then you can do conversations with that, in that,
Yes.
right? So it's like we are acquiring customers, we are engaging the customers, and then we're converting them in that way, right? So
Yes.
focus more on AI is helping us to do more conversions rather than just driving traffic, right? And
Yes.
second
Love
second
it.
that second part that I see is that AI is helping us to target more locally in that way, right? So if you look at the stores, their focus is more like, okay, to cater to the audiences that are local in nature. So
Mhm.
if somebody is searching for maybe dispensary near me and he wants to drive
Mhm.
to a store, and then he has a higher purchase intent, so you should be catering to that customer, right? So how can we be more specifically local on targeting the keywords and the customers who are looking to just make a purchase in that way? So AI is helping to personalize that kind of experience. So
Yes.
personalization is there. So we can personalize the messaging, we can personalize the targeting, we can personalize the experience through each and every touch point in the digital. Either it is social, or it is search, or it is chatbot flow, or it is maybe a kind of maybe website information. So everything is synced into it. It's
Excellent.
personalized, right?
Messaging, targeting, and experience. And I just want to say one thing. I think it's excellent because you're not using AI just because AI is a hot topic. That's what a
Yeah,
lot of individuals are doing. Is because AI is so prominent in our world, they're using it
ab-
just because it exists. But if it doesn't actually make an impact, it's useless. So I really appreciate that you're actually understanding the real business principles of targeting and messaging and personalizing it, because on a website it can essentially become almost like a sales almost like a sales engagement where it's explaining what exactly is the potency, what exactly is the right recommendation, and that can be the difference between getting a sale and not getting a sale. So I really
yeah,
appreciate that perspective you have here. And yeah, I
absolutely.
interrupted you, so please continue. You're saying something.
Yeah, so I was just maybe highlighting one more point where AI is helping our customers, because if you look at the industry, we are having retailers, then we have brands, and then we have MSOs like multi-estate operators. So AI is helping those brands to
Hmm.
percolate the same messaging to
Hmm.
each and every location, because they cannot train each and every bud tender in a best possible knowledge, right? So, but if they have AI, they can actually train each bud tender in the same way that they want to, right? If there's an MSO, then and if MSO wants to grow across the locations in the whole US, they cannot actually pass on the same message
Hmm.
without AI. So with the help of AI, what they are doing is that they are passing on the best possible messaging to each store in each state, and that's becoming very, very synchronous across the stores in that way.
Wow. So it can actually approach case dependent situations and
Yeah.
make it personalized with case dependent situations. I really think that's very important to get the best outcomes. Now, bringing this back to the original strategy you had with becoming successful in the cannabis industry, I'd like to understand what was your approach to really understand your customer. Now, there's a lot of issues, sometimes can be issues online about what customers say they want versus what they actually need. How do you make a distinguish? How do you distinguish between those two, and how do you approach understanding your customer?
Yeah, so I think this is very simple because when we look at the customers, right, they are driven by such queries, and when we work with our clients, we make a very, I will say, redefined kind of a campaign, and these campaigns are very deeper in nature. For example, there's a brand targeting, there is a competitor targeting, there is a product targeting, and there's a kind of a users based targeting, and there's a near me targeting, there's a dispensary targeting, there's a brand targeting. So when we have different kind of buckets, and these buckets are designed in a way that how our target audience is looking into that, for example, right? So when somebody is searching specifically according to those buckets, we have those audiences designed, and when we have those audiences, there's a messaging design that is in sync with what customers are looking for.
Got
So
it.
what happens? Yeah. So what customer want and actually what they're looking for. Sometimes there's a difference in that, because what I see a lot of times that, okay, I want a flower that is required for example, for being me happy in that way. And
Okay.
but they might find that, okay, maybe it's not flower that makes me happy. Maybe it's kind of a gummy that I should take. Maybe uh, that is good for me to be happy and maybe to also be active in that way. And so might be they go online and they maybe interact with the chatbot that we have, that is Ask Badai, and probably they find what they're looking for, right? So with the help of AI, we can personalize that experience for a customer. So
Right.
yeah, because someone knows, because chatbot knows that what you are searching for. So and then it says, okay, what you are looking for, and versus what you are actually needing. Then maybe it happens when there's a kind of interaction between the
Mhm.
customer and the AI chatbot we have. Yeah.
I have had some interviews with some other executives, and now one of the key components of learning about customers is about tracking their actions. So if you have something that's tracking their actions and what they respond to, that's gonna be more indicative of what they actually might need versus what they think they need instead. So I really appreciate that perspective about observing really what is it they do instead of what they say. So I think that's a very important point that you made there. Now, bringing it to the other important question is when it becomes becoming a leader in the cannabis industry for digital marketing, what do you think was the biggest challenge in making that happen?
So the biggest challenge that I saw was actually, again, it's a tracking, right? So in our industry, it is very unorganized in that way. For example, there is a Google AdWords system, then there's a Google Analytics, and then there is a point of sale, and then there is a brand website, right? So you see there are
Okay.
like 4 or 5
It's hard to
buckets,
get
right?
the whole story. It's hard to get the whole story.
Exactly, yeah. So this is like you look at that how to actually integrate everything together, because if there is no maybe ROI on your ad spend, then
Mhm.
probably you would look it as a bad investment. So when we are going to a customer, we are always having that plan that, okay, if you are spending X, then you are getting maybe X, 3X or 4X in that way, and how to track it. So the biggest challenge was doing that integration along it. So we had to innovate a lot of strategies that how,
Mhm.
okay, how can the integration work? For example, Dutchy is the biggest market leader in the POS, and
Mhm.
how to do the integration with Dutchy of GA4, that is Google Analytics, and how to get it tracked properly so that customers can see the ROI and they can see that, okay, return on ad spend. So we were very black and white in terms of showing that impact, that what impact we are bringing in by doing those kind of campaigns for you. So when we go to any kind of retailer or a brand, we have
Mhm.
that kind of approach and case studies where we show a exact return that they will
Mhm.
get if they do this kind of investment with us. And we are very performance driven. As I said that, my strategy is to be as much data driven as it is possible, and to build those kind of dashboards for our customers. So we have very custom driven dashboards. We have custom analytics that is built for those retailers. We have AI that is helping us to build those insights. So for example, we are building now AI dashboard that will give customers whole story, starting from who clicked, who came
Hmm.
to the landing page, who went to the website, who made a purchase, and then what is the actual ROI on those campaigns. And if a customer wants, they can actually talk to a chatbot. I will tell them exactly about okay, which campaigns perform or which campaigns did not perform in that. So we have a very clear, I will say, data-driven and actionable results for the customers.
Yes. Excellent. Now, to conclude this, let's talk about restrictions and, of course, the laws that impact the marketing when it comes to marketing cannabis. How does that impact, let's just say, business operations of the market itself, branding, and reaching customers? How does those restrictions impact the business operations?
So these restrictions do a lot of restrictions, because I think it also is kind of a differentiator for our businesses, that how can you operate in this restrictive environment. So our strategy is always to have a plan where we get lesser suspensions and we lesser maybe bottlenecks for our customers. So when we launch a campaign, I think this is very obvious in cannabis industry that your campaign goes either it goes suspended or maybe it goes disapproved. So how to deal with those day-to-day issues in that way. So we have more of AI solutions who help us to find out the messaging that probably will be more stable, and will be more compliant, and will be more as per the Google regulations possibly in that way. So we work around that. We have that kind of a system in place where we know that exactly okay, what keywords to bid on, what kind of messaging to play, and what kind of landing pages to build, and what kind of traffic to drive to get those higher conversions in that way. So we have got that whole system in place now. This used to be kind of bottleneck, but right now I see that bottleneck has become kind of a growth phase for us, and now we are riding on that kind of restriction in that way, so we can actually, build on that kind of challenge that we had earlier.
Excellent. So what we'll do now is go ahead and shift the conversation to a little bit more about you, Varun, on the personal side. The first question I have for you is, what is something about you or your life that you wish more people knew about?
So I think, first of all, it's like I would say I'm more like a spiritual kind of person in that way. So if I look at myself, like I don't know if you read about this book, Autobiography of a Yogi. It's a very nice
Hmm.
book. I think, and this was recommended by Steve Jobs when he was in his like last times in that way. And I love that book, and maybe and it had been kind of a starting point for me into one of his spiritual journey, and where I started my yoga and meditations and all that stuff like that. And I think it has given me more perspective that how can we actually build a kind of a business with the help of the deeper and larger maybe objectives, and how can we change this industry overall in that way. So if you look at the industry, we are helping that to grow in that way. And personally, I mean, now like very recently we have I have started building myself into, you know, maybe more like doing more like strength training and all that stuff like that. And it is helping me to grow myself in that way. Maybe I should learn something
Excellent.
from you. That how did you lose
Yeah,
70
yeah.
pounds?
Awesome. That's great. That's great. Now, the other question I have for you is, what do you think is the biggest difference between you in your 20s and you now?
So I would say in terms of approach, because it's like when you're in 20s, you are always looking at every opportunity,
Hmm.
that you want to grab and you want to build on, right? And you look at it everything as okay, let's do that. It might be a blend or idea, it might be something that can help you build,
Yeah.
and maybe get a lot of money. So your approach is more towards like how can you get more out of every opportunity, and that I used to do as well. I have built a lot of businesses when I was in my college, and maybe consulting businesses and all that, and then I have done a lot of other marketing businesses. But when I see myself in my 40s now, I see that my approach is more towards there are a lot of ideas that come to your mind, but
Right.
now you pursue every idea. You select one idea out of maybe 500 ideas, and then you see that how can it actually help to make a difference in the society or maybe in the business, and then you work on it. And that's what we are doing right now.
Yeah. There's many ideas in the world, but there's a lack of people who can execute on it. So I really appreciate that perspective there.
Uh,
So what I'll do now is go ahead and share a very concise perspective regarding health and fitness, and then from there we'll go ahead and conclude the podcast with Varun's plans for this year, whether that be professionally or personally. The perspective I want to share today is really about making an approach, our health and fitness approach, as time efficient as possible. As you know, Varun, a lot of my viewers are entrepreneurs and executives. So how can I make this advice as tailored? Is a real question, and the only way to do that is to provide one that is as time efficient as possible. So when you look at a traditional health and fitness approach, a lot of what people do is focus on going to a gym or going to a studio and using that as their main way to make their transformation. The issue with that perspective is that not all individuals have the same capacity to keep going to a gym, keep going to studio due to travel, due to work, etc. So the key is, instead of focusing on a location dependent approach where you have to shift your entire schedule around for it, focus on a location independent approach, something you can do anytime, anywhere, as opposed to one fixed location. Why do I say this? Is because if you can do something anytime, anywhere, it adapts to your schedule, meaning it adapts to your calls, it adapts to where you go, it adapts to the fact that you travel. And that's the idea behind it is, can you make something that adapts to your schedule, or make an approach that adapts to your schedule as opposed to you making time for it? And once you do this, your capacity to adhere to the requirements is far higher. So what I would specifically recommend is leveraging something like step count, because step count is something you can do while you're listening to this podcast. It's something you can do while you're taking phone calls. It's something you can do while you're traveling, and it's something you can do anytime and essentially anywhere. And that's the idea. Leverage something that can be done anytime, anywhere, and then adapt to your schedule. So this is actually what I also use to lose over 70 pounds and actually keep it off. So hopefully
wow.
that provides a different perspective about how to approach something and make it time efficient specifically. So hopefully that was valuable. What we'll do now is go ahead and move the conversation to more about Varun and his plans for this year, whether
Yeah,
whether it be
but
professionally or personally.
before we
Go
go
ahead.
to that, I would like to add something. So,
Sure.
my dad is a yoga teacher, and I used to see him every day doing yoga and all that. As you say, like going to conventional things, like gym, studio, or maybe doing something that is very conventional is difficult. But something that we can do all the time uh, is something without any kind of a studio or gym. So my dad was a yoga teacher, and when I saw him doing yoga, for example, he was doing Sirsasana, Surya Namaskar, and all that stuff. I learned that stuff from him in my childhood,
Mhm.
and that helped me to carry that kind of maybe activity every day in my life till now. So I every day I do that kind of a thing, and it is helping me probably to remain maybe fit in that way and active in that.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. So tell me about your plans for this year, and tell me about the professional ones and some personal ones as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So if you look
Yeah.
at that, the AI world is going to change everything, right? In this world, in this year, possibly. So first bet we are making is that making Spokes Digital more AI native, right?
Hmm.
And what we're going to do is like that. If you look at marketing world, it is moving from campaign execution to intelligent revenue systems, right? So we are creating that kind of a ecosystem, right? We are investing further in AI led performance marketing, AI search, visibility, predictive audience insights, and targeting, and smarter per click conversion experiences, right? And second is actually that we are doing is scaling Ask Buddy, that is our AI bartender. And Ask Buddy is major focused on product recommendations and user engagement. And what we're doing is that we are expanding that kind of a capability of AI Ask Buddy. So it will be more like a guided selling tool for our customers who can use that tool to help customers to make purchase. And how they can do it probably is by just making it more personalized, and AI can help us to make it more personalized. And third would be basically that how can we expand globally and
Hmm.
and deep, and have a deep category leadership. So we are US focused business, but we are also moving into Europe now. So we have expanded to Germany, and we have office in UK now, and we have some clients that are from across the world, like Spain and France and all that. So our major focus is that how can we continue to build spokes as a global growth partner for cannabis, hemp, THC, CBD, kratom, psychedelics, and other digitally challenged industries across the world, right? And we will help the industries to give them a real edge by doing Google and Meta performance marketing, AI SEO,
Mhm.
AI discovery, cannabis specific conversion systems. We can create the real intelligence and we customer. So we can help them to build that kind of system that can help our clients to grow. Right. So goal is for the next year is not simply to get bigger, it is to become harder to replace.
Got it. Well, thank you for joining me, Varun. It was a pleasure. This is Aryan Mohindra and Varun Patel. Thank you for listening.